अर्पित हमरा लगे अब एफबी लाइव हो गेले शुरू।
Yeah, got it.
तो 2 मिनट वेट कर लिए हम सब।
बिल्कुल। I think we'll wait for a minute and then we can start, right?
जी
ओके, फिर शुरू करते हैं। ओके, नमस्कार सब गोटा का जे जुड़ले थे जूम मीटिंग के थ्रू। सो मिथिला एंजल नेटवर्क का ई 5वां एपिसोड जे फाउंडर टॉक बेस्ड आधारित है, जेमे हम सब फाउंडर हर एक एरिया से एक्सपर्टीज लोग सबका जुड़े कहे छियन और वो अपन एक्सपीरियंस अनुभव जते अपन पूरा वर्क एक्सपीरियंस करे जे से शेयर करता और कुछ ओपिनियन जे आई काल का आइदर मिथिला और इंडिया एरिया में जे प्रॉब्लमेटिक क्वेश्चन छे तकरा केना वो रिजॉल्व करे छथि और उनका हिसाब से की सॉल्यूशन भ सकै छथि। सो अपन एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करता। तो आइ हमरा सबका एपिसोड में छथि संजीव झा जी। नमस्कार संजीव झा जी। तो हिनकर एक्सपर्टीज छन इंश्योरेंस डोमेन में से बहुत साल के एक्सपीरियंस और एक क्या वो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी का लीडो कर रहा छथिन और किया इंश्योरेंस और किया फाइनेंस का ही बातचीत कर रहा हूँ तकर एगो बात कह दी कि ई फाइनेंस कते जरूरी है ई अहाँ समझ सकै छियै कोनो बिजनेस के लेल। कोनो बिजनेस जेना कोनो बिजनेस शुरू होइ छै, हर बिजनेस बूटस्ट्रैप्ड नहीं होइ छै। बूटस्ट्रैप हर ककरो कैपेबिलिटी नहीं होइ छै बूटस्ट्रैप बिजनेस तैयार करे। तो हर बिजनेस के लेल एक फाइनेंस सिस्टम और एक ओकरा लेल इंश्योरेंस ई दोनों चीज हम हमेशा रेकमेंडेड रहे छै। तो अगर कोनो भी एरिया में कोनो रीजन में आइदर इंडिया या इंडिया के कोनो रीजन में या इंडिया का आउटसाइड जे जे कम्युनिटी और जे कंट्री अगर पहले पूरा फाइनेंस सिस्टम और इकोसिस्टम डेवलप कर ललके कि क्रेडिट देना है फिर वापस लेना है और पूरा सॉल्यूशन डिजाइन कर ललके वो हमेशा से लीड कर रहा है। हाँ, तो मिथिला एरिया में ही अपना सबके पते है कि कनी परेशानी के समय है कि बैंको सब एते ओपन नहीं है कोनो बिजनेस के लेल लोन दे लेल या गारंटी के लेल। क्या तो बैंकों के गारंटी चाहिए और वो कहीं ना कहीं ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट के वजह से और कोनो प्रोसेस क्लियर नहीं हवा के वजह से जे मिथिला एरिया में छे से लोन प्रोसेस कनी लेंदी और कॉम्प्लेक्स भ जाय छे, जे ल के जे हमरा अहाँ सबके जे लोग हेता जे आम लोग हेता तिनका ओइ सिस्टम से जुड़ना है कनी मुश्किल भए जाय छे। तो आइ हमरा साथ संजीव झा जी एहि पर बात करता हमर साथी अरविंद झा जी संगे कि केना ए प्रॉब्लम के रिजॉल्व कए सकै छै और हुनकर एक्सपीरियंस ए एरिया में की छन और की ऐड क सकै छथिन ए एरिया में मिथिला एरिया लगे। धन्यवाद अरविंद जी।
हाँ नमस्कार नमस्कार, थैंक यू, धन्यवाद अर्पित जी। आइ हम सब बहुत गौरवान्वित छी कि एक संजीव जी बहुत ही सक्सेसफुल प्रोफेशनल छथि अपन एरिया से PhD इकोनॉमिक्स में છે, ફૂલ બ્રાઇટ સ્કોલર છે લર્નિંગ મેનેજમેન્ટ में, बहुत सब देसी या विदेशी कंपनी के बोर्ड पर છે, सरकारी गवर्नमेंट के एडवाइजर છે, फिनटेक के खास करके फिनटेक एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के काज देखे छथिन गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के लेल। और हुनकर सबसे बेसी जे छलनि हैं कि जखनो हम हुनका रीच आउट केलियनि हैं, बहुत बहुत सपोर्टिव भेलखिन हैं, हर तरह से हमरा सपोर्ट करे छथि। तो संजीव जी, आई अहाँ से बात करके बहुत मोन लागत। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस।
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here.
तो हम सब जे शुरू करी छी, सबसे पहले तो अहाँ के एकटा परिचय, एंड अहाँ कहलिए जे अहाँ के मैथिली बहुत बढ़िया नहीं है, तो कोनो नहीं, अहाँ कोशिश कर लियो। मैथिली हमरो बहुत बढ़िया नहीं है, कोनो दिक्कत नहीं चाहिए, मैथिली हिंदी इंग्लिश जे अहाँ के सूट करे से कोनो दिक्कत नहीं। लेकिन अहाँ एक बार अपन परिचय, गाम के परिचय, कतऽ से शुरू भेले अहाँ के स्कूली जीवन, अहाँ के कॉलेज के जीवन, केना अहाँ के भेल जीवन के शुरुआत, ओकरा ऊपर शुरू करबे तो बहुत बढ़िया रहते।
ठीक है, थैंक यू सो मच। एंड मैं स्क्रीन पे देख रहा हूँ जो कि एक रुकमान मेरे दोस्त हैं श्रीलंका से, वो भी लॉग इन किए हैं, तो उन्हें जरूर फेसबुक या कहीं देखा होगा। बट आई थिंक रुकमान, यू कैन लॉग आउट बिकॉज मच ऑफ दिस विल बी इन नॉन इंग्लिश, सो एनीवे he's there, so happy to have you there. So it's रुकमान। तो मैं जो हूँ अरविंद, I'm the fourth child of a family of four children. So I was the youngest child of a couple, very bright couple. Father जो थे वो, जो जैसे हम लोग के प्रीवियस जनरेशन और कई इस जनरेशन के भी जैसे लोग हैं मिथिला से, बेसिकली काफी मॉडेस्ट फैमिली से थे, और through his scholarship, through his academic, he sort of managed to move out of गांव से निकल पाए। मैं ऐसा हालात था उसमें कि दो सेम उन लोग के, एक दोस्त उनके और मेरे फादर, दोनों को चॉइस था जो कि गांव से जो कि किसको पैसा दिया जाए पढ़ाई करने के लिए। So then father was chosen, and then of course Chacha ji remains like a very dear friend. So anyway, so that was the background of how Papa moved from the gaon of, which is gaon is a place called Dharara, North Bihar mein, Supaul district mein. The nearest station from there is Raghupur station. So based on his scholarship, he moved many years back. He moved from the village. He moved to Patna University, and scholarship पे थे, पढ़ाई किया, उसी basis पे he qualified for the civil service, and he joined the Inland Revenue Service many years back. So he came from a very modest background, and a lot of emphasis on scholarship, on studies, on hard work, basic, very basic values. My mother had a very different background. She's also from a Mithila family, but their family moved from Bihar to from Mithila to Rajasthan nearly about 300 years back. Mm-hmm. And my Nana ji's family is the Rajguru of Jaipur Maharaj. So my mama currently is the Rajguru of Jaipur Maharaj. So that was quite an amazing combination, because she came from a urban Jaipur, jo kafi urban or prosperous, and Rajasthan Raj is a very prosperous place to be. And they had a huge haveli opposite the Hawa Mahal. Agar aap log Jaipur gaye hue hain to you know the area. So it was quite a combination of two people, ek gaon se, very modest background, who hasn't seen electricity in the house, to someone who has driven by buggies and has always had people to serve her and lived nearly a royal family. So that was the combination of these two. Very lucky that both these two people fell madly in love, and they created a wonderful family. So four of us, they had four beautiful children, me being the youngest. I think one of the good things of being the youngest is by the time you are born, and especially in our time when the age gap was reasonable, the age gap between me and my eldest brother is nearly 12 years, was when you're the youngest, parents sort of tend to forget that you exist. So I was given a fair amount of freedom to do whatever I wanted. And the only thing was that I think dad and mom both were काफी keen जो कि पढ़ाई में मैं maintain रखूं अपना standard. और घर में again it was a very modest life we had because father was in the government service. But अगर किताब चाहता था मैं किसी भी चीज का तो the no was very difficult for a book. I had many other no's for many other things, but for a book it was very difficult for them to actually refuse, and they really bent backwards to give me all that I could do. That, like I said, father government service में थे, inland revenue. So I was born in Delhi, and then we traveled around when I was a child. I grew up basically in Delhi, in Lucknow, in Banaras, in Calcutta. Finished my schooling first Delhi se, and then I finished my graduation in Bombay, and then from there I moved into my adult life. So again, at one level, I was very blessed that I came from a father who had a very modest background and a strong emphasis on scholarship. I was very blessed that I had a mother who came from an urban background, so who gave me the feel of a very different India. And I've been very blessed that we managed to live in different parts of India very young at age. So that allowed me to see different cultures and become very comfortable with the idea of India, which is quite a beautiful idea. I was also, like I said, lucky that I was the youngest, so I didn't have too much. I was left to my own, and अपना किताब विताब पढ़ता रहता था, मैं मस्त रहता था. Very good in sports, and a big fan of. I'm a very fond. I like playing the guitar, so music is a काफी में interest है. हम लोग तो जैसे बोला मैंने, ननिहाल है, जयपुर गांव था बिहार में. So summer vacation was the main vacation when we used to travel for these long 2 महीने की छुट्टी पे. So every year we used to alternate. एक साल जाते थे जयपुर, एक साल जाते थे गांव. So again, that was quite fantastic because the experience was very different in both the places. But obviously, it helped build up relationship with my cousins, with the larger family, which remains very much alive even today. So I think it's just, and I had nothing to do with this. It was just the luck that I was born in a certain environment which allowed me these privileges. I remember once when I used to go to the village, जब मैं ज़्यादा senior होने लगा तो दादी was there, and एक बार मैंने जब मैं I think maybe high school के end की तरफ था मैं, तो ऐसे दादी को मैं थोड़ा impress करूँगा, मैं धोती कुर्ता में गया गाँव. But she was so angry. She said, "तुम धोती कुर्ता में गाँव क्यों आई? आप सब धोती पहनता है, jeans पहन के आया." So I realized that there is a different reason why people respect urban India at that time from the village. It's not so they don't really want. The villagers don't necessarily want to remain as they are. They want to. There's an aspiration that is there. So I did my schooling finally I finished my schooling from Delhi, where I'm living just now. It's a great school, St. Columbus School. Very privileged to have gone there. Have some great friends, lifelong friends. वहाँ से हैं. Then I finished my college from St. Xavier's in Bombay. Again, some excellent friends. जब मैं बॉम्बे में मैंने पहला काम चालू किया, which was after my grad. I did BA, then I did my masters, and बीच में I went to US for some time. Then I started working in Bombay, and my first job was with the Economic Times. I used to write articles. At the same time, I was doing my PhD from Bombay University. Completed my PhD, and then that was a time when I tried the civil services. एक बार try किया. Got very good results in the written, but I did very badly in the interview. So I think the feedback was that the feedback from my father on लोग से बोला था कि तुम बड़ा arrogant लगता है, तुम लोग को लगा इसलिए तुमको fail कर दिया. मैंने कहा ठीक है जो भी है. But anyway, so one of the attraction of that, and we are talking about like 40 years back, Arvind. So I'm 62 now, so we're talking many years back when there wasn't really much opportunities for someone with my background. So there was civil service, there was the banking, and then there was the insurance service. And then, of course, you had things like the private bank and few corporates like the ITCs and stuff like that. So I gave the insurance exam because many of my other friends who were my seniors from school and from college were in the insurance sector. and I qualified and I got picked up by GIC. And at that time, the insurance sector was in the nationalized sector of Smitha. So I was based in Bombay. Again, very fortunately, I was based in Bombay and picked up by GIC itself, which was the holding company that time. It was all under the government. So GIC was a holding company, and there were four other companies: New India, Oriental, National, and United. So I was picked up by GIC at the holding company. Worked with them for about 6-7 years. That was a time when the entire dialogue and the seriousness of privatizing insurance had come back. And again, I was very fortunate, given the place I was in. I was exposed to that entire thinking at GIC level. And parallelly, at that time, I'd finished my PhD, so I was already a doctor. So apparently, at that time, I sort of decided that it'll be nice to leave the government now and maybe move into the private sector. As and when the insurance sector gets privatized, I'll have the experience of the private sector also.
Right.
So 93 I left. 93 I left GIC and joined a stockbroker. This guy who used to trade in shares and stuff like that. The GIC office, if people are aware who lived in Bombay, was in Dalal Street, where the stock exchange building is just now. So GIC we had offices there before we shifted somewhere else. But anyway, so I was working in the stock exchange, and I decided to work with a stockbroker. I think that was, in hindsight, one of the most stupid decisions I took, but maybe it was the wisest one because it changed my life quite dramatically. I joined the stockbroker, and 3 months के बाद मेरा पगार बंद हो गया, because the guy was working for a gentleman called Harshit Mehta, who was quite famous in the stock trade, and his entire business had rightly so got shut down. And so suddenly I had no salary coming in. We had taken a mortgage till then. We had a flat in Borivali. We had 2 children tab tak. So life was a bit difficult. That was a time when I saw an advertisement of a group economist by a group called the Murugappa Group, based out of Madras. Now, if you are like me, Arvind, if you lived largely till at that time, I had lived largely only till North India. I hadn't really gone beyond, and North and West, I hadn't gone beyond. So Madras was very far. It seemed like a very, very distant place. And Murugappa Group, I didn't know much about, so I had no idea. But anyway, I said, life is tough. Let me interview deta hu main, and then I'll come back. So I went for the interview. Immediately after the interview, we had the chat, and I was told that I've got the job as the group economist, and I can join. So then I called up my wife from a mobile to thani us समय. I called up my wife from एक दुकान से, and I said, ये है जो कि अब मद्रास आना है, इसे मद्रास जाएंगे हम लोग बॉम्बे से. दिल्ली से बॉम्बे आया, बॉम्बे से मद्रास. I said, हाँ. So we moved to Madras, and again, and that's why the decision to join the stockbroker actually became the best decision I took, because that led to events which forced us to change our entire life.
So 2 comments for you. I mean, fascinating background आके, खास करके जे 300 साल कली आके माता जी के फैमिली 300 साल पहले रिलोकेट किन. And it reminds me कि जे मिथिला के स्कॉलरशिप के चलिए एक ब्राह्मण या वैदिक स्कॉलरशिप के या एक संस्कृत स्कॉलरशिप के जे एक परंपरा चलिया ओकर मतलब आके माता जी के फैमिली एक जीवंत उदाहरण देती कि एक लॉट ऑफ द किंग्स हुनकर जे प्रीस्ट चलकिन है सब मिथिला से चलकिन है, चाहे महाराष्ट्र में हो या गुजरात में हो या राजस्थान में हो या बहुत सब प्रिंसली स्टेट्स में एक मिथिला के स्कॉलरशिप चलिया. You are a continuation of that scholarship tradition, so that's very interesting for me personally. दोसर कि you've really been through the insurance sector के पूरा change भेले, एक nationalized insurance or privatized insurance और ओकरा बाद जे आइकाल जे चल रहल छै. So it must be a fascinating journey कि केना insurance growth भेले India में, and you are in the middle of this insurance journey. Maybe you also talk about that insurance journey and how the insurance industry is working out today.
Yeah, so I think there's the entire economy of India has changed dramatically over the last 25-30 years, and there are a couple of reasons why I think the change is so significant and so so deep. One is clearly the cultural pillars that we had. You talked about the Mithila Brahmins scholarship. I think that is getting challenged. So the cultural pillars that were there of the past are getting challenged, and which is very exciting because suddenly new areas of opportunities, new dynamism is coming in, which is quite exciting. The other is, of course, the technology trends. Technology is allowing things to happen which was not possible before. Third is, I think we mentioned it in the beginning about the availability of capital. I think there's a definite availability of risk capital. Environments which are more risky, like Bihar, may find it more difficult to get capital, but there's enough capital around if there's a suitable venture. So clearly, financial services areas, which includes insurance, was an area which was much in need of changing. We have just come back from Bombay, Arvind, from an international conference on insurance. Now, the vision of Indian insurance regulator is that insurance for everyone by 2047. Now, that's hardly 25 years away. So they want every single Indian to be insured adequately. India is already the 6th largest insurance market in the world. It's growing at double digit. It's just astounding the scale and size of growth jo ho raha hai. There's so much to be done, whether it is on, and I can break it up into insurance into 3 broad areas, into what I would call customer onboarding. How do you acquire a new customer? The second area is like, how do you settle claims and how do you make the operations viable? And the third final area is how do you renew the customer and reprice the risk and come back? In तीनों एरिया में इतना स्कोप है अभी किसी को भी किसी भी जगह करने का है कि there's huge amount of interest. IRDA जो यहाँ का local regulator है इंडिया का, they have set up a sandbox. Gift City है in Gujarat, they have set up a sandbox. मैं जहाँ पे mentor हूँ STPI जो out of Chennai है, there is a amazing incubation center there for looking at fintech. We've already seen, I think all of us have seen and benefited from what UPI has done, which is absolutely astounding. It is world beating. World over, and I can see this without this. I can see, I know this because the world over, like the Indian insurance people, the Indian bankers are looked up exactly like how the Indian engineers are looked up. They are really looked up with a lot of respect because the amount of knowledge, the amount of innovation, the amount of stuff that we've done, or the Indian medical center is looked at. So I think there's a huge scope for anyone who wants to get serious about the financial services. So the change has been dynamic, Arvind, very deep. And like I said, it's a combination of changes in the culture that had held us back earlier. It is a change in the entire governance structure, the political ideology that we had earlier, that has changed. Technology has come together in a very significant manner in different ways, that has changed. And our sheer size of India is just driving that growth, which is making it a beautiful engine. So
let me ask you why we see that, and we did talk about it earlier also, that at least Mithila area is deficient, still fairly deficient in insurance coverage. Both हम सब एक dairy startup के साथ काज कर रहे थे, and he said he was the first person who got a dairy cattle insured, and it took him a lot of time, बहुत मेहनत करा पड़ा उनका कि to prove that the cattle had a fairly large value because these are Mura cattle that he had purchased from Haryana. What are the challenges? Why the penetration of either the health insurance or the risk insurance, or maybe even the life insurance, still is very low in the Mithila area?
So any sort of financial any financial product would require a certain assessment of the structural risk. It's not that methods are bad, but there's a certain assessment of the environment of the territory, and that has happened over the last many years. It's like saying that, do I trust Arvind? Does Arvind trust Sanjeev? And the only way we can build up trust is if I've seen how you've behaved over a certain period of time. If I've seen that you have been consistent in the way you behave, if you said I'll do this, you will do it. And finally, if I've seen you making sensible judgments and decisions. Now, unfortunately, our area, our part of the world, Mithila, Bihar, Eastern UP, haven't done well in terms of managing their structural risk over the last 30-40 years. They've actually not done well in that area. And that has destroyed the faith of no one is going to take a risk on this. No, this is you have enough opportunity of taking a risk in other parts of much better managed and controlled in territories. You can take a risk in those places. Why should I add on an additional risk here? Because it's basically a commercial entity at the end of it. If I'm underwriting a risk, I need a return from that. So I think, Arvind, that's the reason why Bihar and certain other parts of India have got this bad knock. Personally, like for example, you're talking about cattle. I was the first guy who went to Anand. This I'm talking 30, 40 years back, and we did the insurance there that time. I started rubber plantation insurance in Kottayam many years back. So as insurance professionals, there are always people who will be willing to take the risk. But I'll take the risk on the entrepreneur, not on the environment. You know, that environment is beyond me. So that is where the challenge of Bihar comes in. But I hope it becomes better. In fact, when I visited there recently, I was quite excited because एक जो चीज हो गया है बिहार में clearly हो रहा है, and you guys will know much better than I will. But again, I could see that is that because of this entire improvement in infrastructure, the roads and the connectivity, I think that has made the entire opaqueness disappear. It's made it much more transparent. Like, you know जो कि अब सामान कब आएगा. पहले तो I remember sitting in stations, गाड़ी कब आएगी ना, जब आएगी तो
at least the younger generation is very curious and very bullish on maybe entrepreneurship. एक बेचरा दरभंगा में एक young engineer चल के ना वो आयुष्मान भारत के ऊपर अपन एक इंश्योरेंस प्रोडक्ट बना रहे चल के हाउ टू सिंप्लीफाई कि एक आयुष्मान भारत के जो प्रोसेस है ऑनबोर्डिंग के प्रोसेस है ओकर क्लेम के काफी एकन ओपेक जगह है काफी हैसली छे ओमे तो ही वाज ट्राइंग कि ओकरा ऊपर एक सिंप्लीफाइड वर्जन बना देते त लोग के आसान हो जेते ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर स्टिल चैलेंजेस इन द यूपीआई इन द एपीआई एक्सेस टू आयुष्मान भारत दो सब छे एकन बट entrepreneurship looks like at the younger generation level entrepreneurship is becoming fashionable at least in areas. You are also you're also doing some academic council work with Birla Institute of Management and then fintech में Ministry of Electronics में सेहो एडवाइजर छी तो बहुत तीन चार तरह के different roles हो गए corporate board में यहाँ सेहो छी insurance में सेहो छी how do you manage this entire in your different types of hats how many hats are you carrying at one point of time?
So I'll tell you what this I realized this जब मैं हम लोग अपने एल्डर चाइल्ड का पहला बर्थडे कर रहे थे बॉम्बे में सो वाइफ और मैंने हमने कहा चलो बनाते हैं लिस्ट बनाते हैं किस किस को बुलाएंगे भोजन के लिए तो इट वाज वेरी फनी सो बुलाया हम लोगों को ज्यादा नहीं 20-30 लोग जो भी था अब आए छत पे कर रहे थे हम लोग वहां पे तो आए एंड देन आई रियलाइज 3 डिस्टिंक्ट ग्रुप्स मेरे दोस्तों में वन वेयर एकेडमिक्स जो यूनिवर्सिटी में प्रोफेसर हैं या रिसर्च कर रहे हैं. So that was one batch. The other batch was like musicians and artists and media people. And third were like poor people like us who are in the corporate world. So I think it's just the accident of birth, Arvind, that has happened, and just the background I gave you that has allowed me to mix around. And I love it. I'm a very curious person. I love people. Ultimately, जितना एक ही चीज मैंने सीखा है जो कि whether you're from Mithila or whether you're from Mathura or you're from Matra in Muscat, I think every single human being is the same. We have the same pain points. We want the same love. We want the same respect. We are just starting at a different level, but at the end of it, at the core, we are just the same human being. So I think that has given me a lot of confidence in managing people.
एक तो हमरा मोने की पिछला साल शायद गान गेल चलिया कोनो फंक्शन चला के गान देन एक लिंक्डइन पे पोस्ट करने चलिया व्हिच मेड मी रीच आउट टू यू कि के चला कि इकोनॉमी चेंज के ऊपर मिथिला के इकोनॉमी के ऊपर के इनसाइट्स है जे आई थॉट इट विल बी इंटरेस्टिंग टू शेयर तो की चलिया कि मतलब what were you thinking when you went to and spent some time in the village and okay what can be done with the Mithila economy, which of course, as you know, one of the lowest GDP districts or areas right now in India, less than $500 per capita GDP right now.
Yeah, so what I saw, Arvind, and again this is I saw only for a few days in a very narrow window, but anyway, what I saw was that there are two very interesting things that I noticed is happening. Before that, let me just come back to a bit of theoretical construct. Like if you say ultimately it's the culture, no, the culture, like the Silicon Valley had a culture that drove a certain environment of innovation. Gujarat had a certain culture that drove a certain environment of innovation. Mithila didn't have that culture. And when I say what the culture, basically I'm saying that there is a culture of an organization like the army versus a culture like, say, of a company like Google or any of these startups. And the culture can be broken down into two basic parameters on how does that culture react or not react, but how does the culture educate people on how you interact with each other.
Mhm.
That is the first dynamics. The second dynamics is how does that culture react to any change that is being introduced.
Mhm.
If you look at an army or a military environment, it's yes, sir, no, sir. If you're a senior, sir, you run it. If you are in a startup environment, no one cares about whether you're senior or junior, what age you are. They'll call you Arvind, they'll call you Sanjeev. If there is a change required in an army, it will take a long time because of the bureaucracy. If a change in environment in Google, most probably they'll try it out in a certain area. And if it's working, then they'll scale it up. So two parameters of culture, which can drive innovation, which is a more innovative company. Obviously, people like Google and all are more innovative than the army. And just these two parameters, if you can change, and that is what I saw in Bihar in this visit, that there is a certain lessening of the rigid rules that we had 20, 30 years back.
Mhm.
Whether it is a relaxation of the caste point, whether it's like a patriarchy is coming down, there's a certain reduction happening,
Mhm.
which is very, very important. Because if you don't have the direction, you can't say, let's be innovative. And the second thing is that people are willing for change. The amount of new things, and when the kids were talking to me, they were talking about fantastic things, extremely bright kids. So the amount of new things that are happening, and the parents are accepting it. So people are in different words. So I think that these two elements are very exciting for me. Still very early days. It'll take a long time, but clearly from the very rigid structures and processes we had 30 years back, I think that is changing, and that is giving me a lot of hope. Combined with the fact that Bihar as a structural entity, with the structural risk because of the roads and the connections and all these airports coming in, I think that's becoming a much better environment that it used to be.
So I echo your sentiments completely, because we also saw that. I saw that personally. The same kind of curiosity is there. And हम सब जो Mithila Angel Network शुरू के लिए, that one of the objectives was how can we then accelerate that? How can we become a catalyst to that? यार हमें हमेशा लगे कि with 70-75% of the people living and working outside that area, unless the diaspora starts to get connected back with these people, you will not be able to create any structures on the ground. Our community participation, especially for change, and I know microcredit is a big area that I wanted to talk to you about. वो नहीं भर पा रहल छै. So we thought, okay, we create some kind of platform जतऽ diaspora के हम एक बार join कर ओइमे से then startup के investment या mentoring कर सकबे तो भऽ सकै किछ change भऽ जेतै. What do you think? You think initiatives like Mithila Angel Network or community kind of self-help groups will be some value add, or you think government should do more and government is not doing much?
I think the government will do what it has to do, but it doesn't mean that non-government entities, whether it's business or whether it is professionals like all of us, have to stop doing our stuff. I think it's a great thing what you're doing, Arvind. It's what I think a body like Mithila Angel Network provides is people who can give courage to young entrepreneurs. It's not about your access of your intellectual. I don't think it's about the intellect or the capital, but just the fact that there's a bunch of 15, 20 people who can say that, hey, I did it in a different way and I'm successful. I think that is quite empowering, because like I said, people have to change. Bihar has to change. Mithila has to change if it wants to progress. And that can only happen when they see people who have already done it. And without the scars. Maybe when we changed, we had a lot of scars and we got bruised. But when they see this, the non-scar part of payment, I think I think it's very good. I think it's very good. I'm a big fan of the old saying that business is a force for good. Like, business can actually do good in society, but that can only happen if the business is doing good. And therefore, people like us come in and try to help. If there's anyone who wants to who thinks they need advice, mentorship, help, I'm happy to help on them. Yeah. So nothing. That's the least we can do. But I think it's a great thing you guys are doing here.
Thank you so much. One thought that we always run into is, how can we strengthen the credit supply system? अर्पित भाई ने कल की without mature credit supply, हम देखे चाहिए कि गांव सब के जे traditional artisan चलकिन है या craftsman चलकिन है या जे छोट मोट दुकान बिजनेस कर रहे स्केल के लिए एकोटा बैंक के क्रेडिट नहीं चाहिए या कोनो कम्युनिटी क्रेडिट नहीं चाहिए कोनो माइक्रो फाइनेंस के कोनो एक स्ट्रक्चर नहीं चाहिए एक जगह इवन गवर्नमेंट के जो प्रोजेक्ट है हम 200-250 करोड़ के प्रोजेक्ट गवर्नमेंट अनाउंस करी चाहिए सिमिलरली इफ यू सी यूपी दे अनाउंसिंग 1 लाख करोड़ काइंड ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट तो स्केल के एकटा फर्क भ रहल छै एंड समहाउ हमरा लगे कि समहाउ a lot of diaspora and community has to go back and start creating these structures and maybe just like Gujarat or just like Rajasthan, where community is very strong, especially on the credit side. वो एक missing एक हमरा credit system में दिखा रहा है आके किना देखे छिए एकरा
it's I agree with the problem Arvind लेकिन मेरा the problem is really the I think there are many entrenched people in Bihar who need not want to change this, who are not so excited about changing the structure of power. They don't want to give it up. So I think that's where the change will happen slowly, as in when you make more roads, you make airports, you make more transparency coming in, they will have to change. Currently, when I go there, I find the people who have the most are the least reluctant to change. They are the biggest. They who have the biggest barriers of change. And therefore, the another beautiful thing is that people who are changing, who are actually building, are coming from a much more different background. It's a slow process. If you're talking about a structural change, it will happen only when the government machinery becomes open, transparent, removes this entire lal batti culture, and becomes really much more free. Yeah, it'll take time. And from our side, we can just keep maybe doing these various sessions and keep talking about it. So
maybe our team में बहुत सब लोग if they have any questions, maybe we can start doing some questions now.
Sure.
Challenge Prabhat, any questions from your side? Yeah, those are the participants if they can type in their questions, we can take some questions as well.
Sanjeev Ji.
Haji.
I do have a question. Like currently, you are in the insurance sector, right? So insurance, why the people that is in a less who are not have a good amount of money or they are not doing more, why they are reluctant to paying for insurance? Because insurance gives a security for the future, right? So what are the these are the problem, because they don't have much money, and if they are thinking like if I do spend on a insurance, then how will I do? But how this awareness would come in a near future, because most of the Indians are have the lower side of income, right?
Yes, but the income is growing very rapidly, and the penetration, insurance penetration, is expanding very rapidly. I think the what you mentioned, it's like going to the dentist, no? Sabke paas daant hai. If you go to the dentist first, like whether aapko daant mein problem, if you perceive a problem or not. So same thing, if you don't perceive a risk, then you don't need insurance. And the people who don't perceive a risk are possibly either people who don't have the basic assets or who have enough assets to self-insure. The second thing is that which dentist you go to. And I think that's a level of trust to be built by the insurance sector, which I think they've done. I think the insurance sector, like I said, is globally very well recognized. And clearly, even in India, both the insurance and the banking sector are much, much stronger and doing a great job now. There's a lot of education that is happening, Arpit, by the insurance regulators. There's a fair amount of activity happening there. A lot of technology in play, which is making it very transparent, very open. Things like the DMAT of insurance policies are coming in, which is quite exciting. So there's a fair amount of change that is happening. And again, like people who want to get active in that, that's a huge scope of work. It's a huge scope of work and opportunity. And there's a lot of capital to play in the financial services, because it's global capital that is looking at finding solution. Because the good thing about it is if you can solve it here, the same solution can be taken to Brazil. So it's a very replicable business model.
इसके रिलेटेड आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं एक डर भी है थोड़ा. मैं न्यूज में देखता हूँ जैसे मान लो गवर्नमेंट का जो ये स्पेशली आई थिंक क्रॉप्स के लेके इंश्योरेंस है कि अगर जो क्रॉप्स अगर अच्छा नहीं हुआ तो डेफिनेटली वो इंश्योरेंस पे बैक करते हैं. बट गवर्नमेंट बिना एक्सेस किए हुए ही वो जस्ट कुछ पैसे थमा देते जो कि उनकी जो प्रीमियम जा रहे हैं उनसे भी बहुत कम होते हैं. तो ये कहीं ना कहीं एक डर पैदा कर रहा है कि अगर गवर्नमेंट नहीं प्रोवाइड कर रहा तो हाउ प्राइवेट कंपनी और हाउ अनदर company would do better here?
I don't know, because the entire capital adequacy of banks and insurance companies governed.
Okay.
So it is there's a concept of capital adequacy, Arpit. So no insurance company can write risk which is beyond my capital. So, but again, like crop insurance, the problem of crop insurance till about 5 साल पहले was that अगर आपको crop damage हुआ आपके area में, उसका claim लेने में it was a nightmare, because you had to get the inspector to come, पैसा कमाएगा, करेगा ये वो and all. Now technology has changed that. Now because of satellites, sitting in my head office in Bombay, I can know okay whether मोतिहारी में इस farm में बारिश हुई थी कि नहीं. अगर हुई थी then उससे क्या crop damage algorithm से I can assess like क्या crop damage हुआ था, and I can make the payment, claim a payment immediately. So that is this what is known as a parametric driven insurance has become very big now in insurance. So whether it's your travel insurance में आप जा रहे हैं, so all these things have become very easy, and yeah, it's really opened up the entire segment quite dramatically.
So let me ask you, मतलब आके अगर लोगों के एडवाइस करके है कि मतलब इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर में अगर क्यों स्टार्टअप करके कोनो आइडिया अगर रहते, what are the areas जहाँ कि यहाँ के लिए onboarding, policy payout and maybe life cycle renewal, those are the 3 big areas. But are there any areas where startups can try to do something in the insurance sector?
I think in any of these areas, like old age is a big thing. Like how do you manage, like India is aging. So how do you manage the entire old age insurance? That's a big area. What I would recommend, Arvind, is that if there's anyone in your network who thinks they have an idea of insurance, let them reach out. I'll be happy to talk to them. What I can offer them is access to global insurance companies if the idea works, or a very honest feedback if the idea is not good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Shailen, Prabhat, any questions from your side? Okay. Seems either people are very impressed or people don't have real questions around this side of the equation. So let me try to give you the mic again to see any closing thoughts in terms of how the diaspora get more involved with this whole startup movement and this. I think Bihar government is also spending a lot of money and a lot of effort on the startup activity. India is kind of saying we are a startup nation. How can we help catalyze this entire movement, especially in the Mithila area, according to you, especially that you have some visibility as a mentor on the Mighty panel as well?
So any innovation enterprise, Arvind, is breaking the shackles, is doing something different. By definition, innovation is doing something different. I think what the diaspora can show is that you guys lived your life, that is like, say, Arvind, you yourself lived a life in a very different manner, and that's why you are where you are today. Maybe you chose a different education pattern, you chose a different career, and that's how you are your success there. I chose a very different career and a way of life, and that's why I'm here. So I think the first thing, if the diaspora can show that it's fine to not be a civil servant, it's fine not to be a professor, it's fine to be a woman getting into business, I think that will be a very powerful one. And I think that's a big thing we can do. Secondly is, of course, our collective might can, if people are interested, if anyone is interested, I think the industry knowledge that collectively we'll have is extremely impressive. Again, if anyone wants to reach out, very happy to talk to them. And third is, I think, the entire thing of how do you reduce the structural risk of how do you get the government's machinery to, which they're doing a great job, they're getting better and better, but how do you actually get them to become a, what maybe Gujarat was, say, 10, 15 years back? How do you do that? I think that's again an area that, but we can't do that virtually. But we'll have to be in Patna and actually do it there and set it up and but that's again a 3 brigade. And again, all of us are, given the backgrounds that we've reached or whatever, we are well connected with those machineries. So I'm sure these are areas, but 3 areas. One is give confidence to people who want to be different, that being different is actually good. It's fine to be different. Second is use our domain knowledge to help whoever wants to help. Or if we don't have the domain knowledge, we get someone else to help them. And really get quality people, not people with gray hair necessarily, but get quality inputs. And third is be a pressure group on the government, saying that, let's improve the road network, let's improve electricity, let's already doing a great job, but I think there's so much more we can do.
एक आके हम information दी कि currently we are running a funding, almost like a crowdfunding for startup called Roadways, एक one-way traffic fare के one-way taxi fare के aggregator छे. In Bihar, whenever I've traveled, I've paid a two-way fare for Patna to Darbhanga or Patna to Madhubani or whatever, and he's able to save you 40% of the time. So एक बहुत मतलब एक neat development है. Almost 38 people have signed up to do an angel investment in that company. It's like a very, very early stage company, and I'm both inspiration है कि if we can raise some significant amount of money for this particular startup. एक example हो जाते that any startup we, as a community, we'll be able to support with 30-50 lakhs of seed money for doing some early prototyping and pilot, and maybe that can start. So I'm very hopeful that, let's see how that shapes up. We have another 15-20 days to go for that fundraise, but it's looking very, very promising. I'm very inspired by that. Okay, so I think with that we will try to close. Arpit, you want to have any last closing comments?
अरविंद जी, हमरा एक जस्ट लास्ट क्वेश्चन छै, अब हमरा एक्सेस भ गेल.
हाँ, कहू ने.
संजीव जी, जेना कि बहुत तरह के इंश्योरेंस होय छै, जेना प्रॉपर्टी होय छै, हेल्थ होय छै, लाइफ इंश्योरेंस होय छै, त अहा के जे ओवरऑल एक्सपीरियंस छै, ओय के बेसिस पर अगर अहा कोनो गाइडेंस देबे कि कोन एरिया छै जेना कि स्टार्ट करे के छै, कि अच्छा प्रॉपर्टी के पकड़ लियो, या जैसे कनटा इजी होय छै, जते से कॉन्फिडेंस लोग बिल्ड कर सके, कोनो एहन एक्सपीरियंस अहा शेयर करल चाह.
तो अभी जो सबसे, तो अगर आप हिस्ट्री देखिएगा ना शायद जी इंश्योरेंस का, तो जो पहला इंश्योरेंस चालू हुआ था वो था मरीन इंश्योरेंस, जो शिप सब जा रहा था लंदन से और आगे पीछे से, बिकॉज दैट वाज वेयर द मोस्ट ऑफ द इंटरेस्ट वाज, दैट वाज वेयर द मनी वाज. उसके बाद आया प्रॉपर्टी, जैसे मोटर इंश्योरेंस, फैक्ट्री, ये सब आया. लाइफ इंश्योरेंस आया जब धीरे धीरे सेविंग के लिए गवर्नमेंट वांटेड टू सेव मनी इंस्टेड ऑफ स्पेंडिंग, देन लाइफ इंश्योरेंस बिकेम मोर एंड मोर पॉपुलर. Abhi, the biggest risk are really in 3 areas, biggest risk areas, जो insurance people like me are looking at. One is the entire area of well-being, health insurance, aging, mental health. So that entire area, how does insurance work with the well-being industry to make life better? The second area is this entire area जो cyber का जो बोलते हैं, because पहले आग लगने से फैक्ट्री खत्म हो जाता था, या भोपाल गैस डिजास्टर हुआ तो there was a big problem, Enron हुआ, there was a big problem, but now one cyber attack can wipe out an entire economy. So that has become a big risk that is there. And the third area that again is a very, very big area of concern is the entire global warming and climate change, which is impacting many things. I think अगर इंडिया का कॉन्टेक्स्ट देखें, I think health is a very big area. I know the valuation जो मिल रहा है लोगों को who are getting into health insurance, it's huge. अगर आपके पास कोई, if you want to get into that, that's a very big area, health insurance. So that's what I can say.
धन्यवाद संजीव जी. Closing, just a question do idea man chale ki like how this, like currently if the car insurance and all type of vehicle insurance we are doing is like either you use or not use, you have to pay, let's say 3,000 rupees per year, right? How it can be, like, do you see any potential in terms of like usage of the particular vehicle? Let's say if you drive less than 5,000 kilometer in a year, then definitely you don't have to pay the 100% of the premium. Do you see potential in such type of use cases in a near future? Because why I'm saying that, it's because, like, let's say 100 people own the car, and if only 30 people is not using at it maximum level or optimum level, right? So it means 30 car is in just in parking. And even in Canada, if you it's like if you say call the company is like, my car is just in a parking for next 2 months, your premium will be dropped. So do you see any potential in India such kind of use cases?
So,
Usage
answer is yes, yes, Shalindra. I think, but it's not a new thing, Shalindra. It's been there for nearly about 2 decades now.
Okay.
So one is basically the two concepts of that you're talking about. One is what is known as PAYD, pay as you drive. So if you drive 50 kilometers, you just get, you get a certain discount. If you're driving 500 kilometers, you get a different price. And the second is pay how you drive. So you have a smart car, and you can tell exactly whether you're taking turns at a sharp angle and stuff like that. So the answer is yes, and insurance companies have been using it. Insurance in India has been regulated. So the regulations at that time didn't allow the insurance to insure the driver. So they said, अगर आप गाड़ी चला रहे हैं, आपको गाड़ी को इंश्योर करना है. तो अगर एम्बेसडर चला रहे हैं, एम्बेसडर का इंश्योरेंस ये है. अगर अर्पित एम्बेसडर, but the point is that you and I both know that ultimately it's not the car that is a problem, it's the driver that is a problem. So the insurance regulator didn't allow that, but that's changing. But in commercial areas, fleets jo tha, wahan pe this was being used quite regularly. Many emerging markets, many emerged markets use it quite extensively. PAYD, and pay how you drive. The big area of mobility insurance that is happening, Arpit, is that the entire mobility industry is shifting from owned to rent. So very soon, already, like many times, even though I have a car, but many times I just call a Uber and go. So already about 30%, 40% of my mobility needs is moving away from my own driving to just renting a driver and going with that. So the insurance sector is insurance on mobility is going to change towards that. And that's again a very interesting area for anyone to solve. That how do you really work? How do I protect myself through insurance when the car is not mine and the driver is not mine? What do I do?
Interesting. I think we are, running, almost coming up to the hour. So this is such a fantastic discussion, Sanjeev Ji. As usual, I was expecting a lot of insights on insurance and trade market. And I think there is a lot of good value discussion that we've had. Thank you so much. And, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pangai. Thank you.
Right.
Bye-bye.